So the rabbi and I both have visual aids, I guess, this year. Shabbat Shalom. Synagogues matter. It's a simple statement that's frequently questioned, but I believe it to be true. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our vision for the future of Sutton Place Synagogue and how you can help. Because by contributing to our synagogue, you are building your Jewish legacy. In moments from now, we will say the Yizkor prayer service, and we will remember the people who are no longer with us, but left a lasting impression on our lives. They left their legacy. But we know that we don't leave a legacy when we die unless we build that legacy while we live. Last spring, my son David was taking an accounting class, and the professor was from North Dakota. David called my husband and said, "Dad, where did our family go in North Dakota when they came here from Russia?" Yes, Mark's family did not go to the usual places like New York City or Chicago. They went to Carson, North Dakota. His great-great-uncle, Henry Pochapin, went there and became a merchant. Once he was established, he sent for Mark's great-grandfather, his great-grandmother, and his grandfather, Max, for whom Mark is named. Except for the fact that Henry went to North Dakota, we didn't really know much about Henry, so we did what most American families do when they want to learn more about something or someone. We Googled him. Henry Pochapin, North Dakota. And this is what we found. This is an article from the Bismarck Tribune dated October 13th, 1921. The headline reads, "Giants baseball champions for 1921. They beat the Yankees to win the World Series." But that's not why I'm telling you the story. Another headline that's in blue reads, Hebrews will build $20,000 temple in city, with the following two subheadlines. Over $5,000 raised in a mass meeting held here last night for building. And lastly, Henry Pochapin, Carson merchant, gives $1,150 toward fund for building church. Church, synagogue, it was North Dakota. Henry had no children, and truthfully, we had not spent a lot of time thinking about Henry before that day. But that night, when we found this article, Henry was alive and well in the Pochapin home, and we are so proud that he is part of our Jewish legacy. Why was building a synagogue so important to Henry? Why is it important to any of us? I believe synagogues are a means of connection to our Jewish heritage. I don't think there were many Jews in Carson, North Dakota. As a matter of fact, there are 400 Jews in all of North Dakota today. It's a far cry from New York City. But I think that the Jews in Carson wanted a place to congregate, to be a part of each other's lives. They wanted to pray together and have their children meet other Jews and to learn our customs in a secular world. That's not so different than the importance of synagogues today in our world. As Jews, we're spoiled here in New York City. New York City is second only to Tel Aviv in its populations of Jews. We take for granted that we think that everyone knows who we are. We are a successful people with a deep moral fiber. We strive to make this world a better place, and we want to educate our next generation. So when we hear disgusting chants like that in Charlottesville's, Jews will not replace us, we think everyone knows that that's nonsense and evil. But around the country, many people have never even met a Jew and are not familiar with our customs. That is why synagogues are important. We need synagogues to help us remember why it is important to incorporate Judaism into our lives and to teach others around us about who we are. We need synagogues so that we will never be replaced. I stand here today on the shoulders of many people who have built the legacy of Sutton Place Synagogue in the past and are working to keep that legacy alive today. I want to talk about a few of them right now. When I think of the things that have transformed our synagogue over the more than 20 years that my family have been members. The first thing on my list is when we became egalitarian. Irene Friedberg of blessed memory and Arlene Dubin were instrumental in making that dream a reality. They approached Rabbi Schranz and he gave his immediate support. 87% of the congregation voted in favor of it. When do 87% of Jews agree on anything? That led us to the path we are on today. We would not have Rabbi Ain as our spiritual leader if it were not for the leadership of Rabbi Schranz and those women many years ago. My favorite comment was that of Irene Rabinovich. One morning a few years ago, there were about 7 women and 3 men at Minyan, and she turned to us and said, "It's good we count men now or we wouldn't have a Minyan." Speaking of Minyan, Jeff Uffner, in his short time as a member of our synagogue, is creating his legacy. He leads morning Minyan each day and serves as vice president of Tefillah for our synagogue. Every morning, the Minyan community looks forward to the start of the service with Flora Kosman saying, what do you say, Flora?
Please rise,
Page 10, please rise. And we begin. Last year marked the passing of Arthur Sellner. Arthur came to Minyan every single morning despite how he felt and despite the fact that he was over 90 years old. He and his wife Judy, who died a few years earlier, were longtime devoted members of our synagogue. Everyone who knew Judy loved her, and she was a very active woman in our women's league. Judy and Arthur left a portion of their will to Sutton Place Synagogue. This money will help make much-needed capital repairs. They built their legacy here while they lived, and they remembered us in their death. We are forever grateful. We also build a legacy by ensuring the education of our next generation. The first and most important thing we do is educate our children. Even if you don't have children, your dues and contributions go to supporting our schools, teachers, and children. We have educational programs for every age group. Lindsay Bennett runs an outstanding and growing nursery school. We launched our family center last year led by Paige Corbett, and it was a tremendous success. And plans are underway for Sutton Summer, a new day camp for preschool children, which begins in 2018 under the direction of Sydney Henkin, our pre-kindergarten teacher. Leslie Goldenberg oversees our excellent religious school, which focuses on the individual needs of each of our children. If you have never been to a bar or bat mitzvah here, I encourage you to try to come this year. Our children are so well prepared. They are extremely dedicated and truly understand that a bar or bat mitzvah is more than just a big party at the end, but it's about becoming a contributing member of our Jewish community. Many of them go on to read Megillah on Purim, Torah on Yom Kippur. They participate in Kadima and USY. They go to Camp Ramah, and they understand what it means to be a part of Sutton Place Synagogue. Of course, their parents play the greatest role in this, but if their parents did not believe in the importance of synagogue life, and we as a congregation did not support it, then it could not happen. Lastly, our community learning program is expanding, and there are more opportunities for learning for adults than ever before. What about the legacy of building community? There are so many people who are building our legacy in that area. Judy Agata, our Vice President of Community and Chesed, has been instrumental in growing our various communities and making them come together. By working with Harriet Janover, David Frankel, and Minna Schneider, the event on September 10th, Come Home to SPS, was a major success. It brought every affinity group together to show what Sutton Place Synagogue has to offer. In one room, we had representations from all our school, as well as the Women's League, the Men's Club, the Young Professionals Group, our new Young Families Group, and the Boomers community. There was a sense of excitement in the air because it was clear at Sutton Place Synagogue we have something to offer anyone who searches for a Jewish experience. This past year has been a great year for us. Our membership grew by 5%. Our schools are thriving. We have more opportunities to learn together than ever before. Our services are well attended, and we remain a warm and welcoming community. People who enter our doors feel like they belong. This also marked the 5th anniversary of Rabbi Ain as our rabbi and the 33rd year of Cantor Karen as our cantor. Talk about leaving a legacy. We could not have a more dedicated duo to lead us. Rabbi Ain has put Sutton Place Synagogue on the map. She has been on the front page of the Jewish Week twice this year, once when talking about how incorporating politics into sermons during this divisive period in our country, and the second time about her work with people interested in conversion. She is on the executive board of the New York Board of Rabbis, and she was invited to Israel with a group of women to learn more about issues in moral leadership. She brings her experiences and her depth of knowledge back to us and shares her wisdom each Shabbat morning and in the many classes she teaches. Cantor Karen, I don't need to tell you, even after 33 years, has the voice of an angel and the heart of one as well. He not only chants beautifully, but he works with our bar and bat mitzvah children, along with Barak Levi, to prepare them so well for their special life cycle moment. I was struck by the words of the parents of David Kamenetz a few weeks ago at his bar mitzvah. They thanked the cantor for working with David even when they were on vacation to review his Torah and Haftorah portion through FaceTime. Bottom line, he never grows old. They are both so dedicated to us, to synagogue life, and to the future of Judaism. They are instrumental to our growth. So I talked a bit about our past and our present, but what about our future? We all need a future we can believe in. After all, how can I ask you to contribute to an organization if we do not have a vision for our future? I promise you, we do. Please dream with me for a moment. What if this sanctuary was set up in a way that allowed for the reverence on holidays and Shabbat, but could be transformed into a more intimate feeling so that we had more connection with the religious experience, where the decor reflected a sense of freshness and excitement? What if people who came in here were invited into a lobby that was secure, but was comfortable and welcoming, where they could sit and chat on couches and maybe have a conversation with the rabbi about a contemporary Jewish topic or an upcoming holiday? What if we created a center for Jewish learning and leadership where we could learn together, and we would also welcome and mentor the future leaders of Judaism among our youth and adults? What if we had space to host movies and plays and concerts and comedians and speakers? What if we became the hub in Midtown East for a vibrant Jewish community dedicated to learning about our past, but to growing our future? What if? We know that most people who are members of synagogues do not solely join to pray. If that were the case, the sanctuary would be packed every Friday night and Saturday morning. So we have to have a vision to make this your Jewish home, a Jewish home that goes beyond just being a sanctuary. Prayer is so important, but it is not the only important aspect of Judaism. It is one important aspect of Judaism. Learning, community, tzedakah, friendship, being a part of each other's lives in good times and in sorrow, that's what a synagogue does. Our board has agreed to hire an architectural firm that has rebuilt over 300 synagogues to help us make our dream a reality by helping to transform our space into a way that executes our vision. We will always respect the past, but we must look forward and build a foundation for our future. We sit in our congregation and we take it for granted at times. We think it will always be here and we will always be able to walk through those doors and pray and learn and congregate. It will be here for our children and our children's children, and it will be here for life cycle moments like baby namings and brises and bar mitzvahs and ufrafs. But will it? The answer to that question is up to all of us. Before I conclude and ask you to contribute to our Yom Kippur appeal, I need to give special thanks to our cherished members, Gilda and Henry Block. For many years, they have been our most generous contributors to this appeal. Henry passed away this past year and left an extremely generous gift to us in his will, but Gilda remains a part of us. They gave in the past to help build this beautiful ark that stands behind me right now and that we will all stand in front of to say our closing prayers during the Elah. They give quietly and generously, and I want to share my personal thanks with all of you today. When you make a donation of your time and your money to Sutton Place Synagogue, you are building our legacy to the Jewish world. We have dreams of what our future can be. We want this congregation to continue to be the thriving Jewish home it is right now. Your donation today will provide for the day-to-day expenses of running our synagogue. But as we envision our future, your gift today will allow us to move forward with that dream and begin our Foundations campaign, Foundations for Our Future, to make that dream a reality. Please help us build the legacy of Sutton Place Synagogue by making it a part of your Jewish legacy and giving generously today and in the future. So now let's get to the cards briefly. Each of you have a card in front of you, and I ask you that if you have never given before, make this your first gift. And if you have given before, consider going over 1/4 flap in the positive direction, or become a double flapper, as I introduced last year. Turn down your usual flap and maybe a second flap of an additional $180 or $360. Just as Henry Pochapin saw the importance of synagogues in 1921, almost 100 years ago, I pray that in 2121, the president of Sutton Place Synagogue has the opportunities to stand here before its members, just like I am now, and ask them to ensure the future of this essential place of worship, education, and community. Gemar Chatima Tova.